just a concept explaining what influences the likelihood of behavior to happen. In other words, what are the factors that are increasing your chances to change your behavior? Let's take a very simple example to understand how it works. For instance, imagine that today you woke up, went outside and exercised for 30 minutes on the sports ground in front of your house. If that behavior happened, that means that 3 following steps took place. First, there was a trigger that induced the behavior. Then the behavior, or we can also call it an action, took place. That was a second step. And then the reward. That was a third step. A trigger is something that reminds you to perform the behavior. In this case, you may have had the following trigger: a reminder about making exercise on your phone. Or maybe you saw your sneakers standing right in front of your bed and remembered that you planned to exercise. Absence of a trigger is a common reason why easy and nice to have behaviors often don't happen. Say you want to call your mom or an old friend more often, and it's really easy to pick up a phone and call, but there is no trigger, nothing reminds you in a specific moment in time, and the behavior doesn't happen. You might not even notice, at least consciously, that after the action, physical exercise in this case, took place, you received a reward. Feeling satisfied because you think that you made one more step towards your better self, feeling energized or having a clear mind after physical activity. In any case, it was some pleasant feeling. Pay attention that when we talk about a reward, we mean an immediate gratification. That pleasant feeling that happens right after the action took place, and that is very important. If the reward is expected only in the distant future, but today the targeted action doesn't bring you any pleasure, it's very likely that behavior won't happen regularly. For example, it's nice to know that following a better diet will make you much fitter and healthier in a year from now. But if you don't enjoy the diet today, the chances that you will stick to it are very low. But let's get back to behavior framework and our exercising example. The trigger has induced your action to go outside and exercise. But why did you do that action? It's easy to imagine that some other day you may have come across the very same trigger, sneakers in front of your bed. You would have remembered that you planned to exercise, but you would feel lazy and you would find all the good reasons to skip, right? Why did you manage to complete the exercise today? That's where the internal and external factors start playing its important role. Common internal factors are motivation, knowledge and skills, physical and psychological condition. Under motivation, we will understand your desire to get a reward or different rewards associated with that behavior. In our example, you want to be healthier, fitter version of yourself, and that is one reason why you get up and exercise. But you also know that right after completing the exercise, you will have that nice and pleasant feeling in your body, and your mind will become clearer. Anticipation of an immediate reward makes your motivation much stronger. And if there is no motivation, there is no reason to perform an action. Knowledge and skills. You need to know which exercises you want to practice, otherwise the task of exercising becomes very unclear. And if the task is unclear or ambiguous, for our brain that means difficult. And we tend to avoid things that appear to be difficult. To check that principle, just ask yourself, which of 2 tasks is easier for you? Task number 1, draw something. Task number 2, draw a sun. For most people, the first task is more difficult because something implies ambiguity. It requires you to start thinking, what should I draw? And people normally don't like to think. Task number 2, on the contrary, is very specific. You know what the sun is and how to draw it. That is why, when you have knowledge and skills related to the targeted behavior, you know what you want to do and how to do that. It increases the chances that the behavior will happen. In our imaginary example, you knew exactly which exercises you will practice, and that eliminated the ambiguity, which in its turn helped you to go outside and exercise. Under physical and psychological condition, we mean the state of your body and mind at the moment when the desired behavior is supposed to happen. If the night before you were drinking with friends and went to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, exercising at 7:30 a.m. may appear a bit problematic. Unless you're a cyborg or a 20 years old university student, they can do such things, but most of us can't. Anyway, on our imaginary morning, you woke up in a good mood and good health. In other words, your physical and psychological condition was sufficient, and that helped you to get out and exercise. Now, let's take a look at the external factors, as they also played an important role. External factors are events, things, people around you. Some of those factors are out of your control, some of them you can manage, but either way, they affect you and your behavior. In our example, your physical environment that day was supportive. Your sneakers were in front of your bed, which not only worked as a trigger, but also made it easier for you to get ready for your morning exercise. Moreover, you were sleeping in your sport outfit, so after you woke up, you were almost ready to go. You didn't need to make an extra effort and look for your sport clothes. You were already wearing it. Notice that here again we observe the principle of least resistance. If something makes the targeted behavior easier for us, that increases the chances that the behavior will happen. Your digital environment, in other words, your internet-connected devices, were also helpful that day. Very often, our digital environment serves as a bottomless source of distractions. Your smartphone is constantly sending you numerous notifications about incoming emails, friends' updates on Facebook, new WhatsApp messages. But this time, you put your phone in the flight mode over the night. And when you woke up, nothing was diverting your attention, and you went straight outside to practice your morning exercise. And finally, did I mention that you weren't exercising alone? Your friend was already waiting for you outside, which created a sense of commitment. That is how your social environment supported your behavior. Let's sum it up. The behavior starts when there's a trigger in place. Trigger reminds us to perform an action. The short-term positive outcome of that action, for example, a pleasant feeling in your body, serves as a reward. And each step of that sequence may be reinforced or interrupted by internal and external factors influencing our behavior. I hope that by now you see that placing all your bets on motivation only and refusing to notice all the other factors is not the smartest way to change your behavior and achieve your goals.